Do you want to open your fortune cookie to start us off?
We could start it that way.
Yeah, Tad was just eating Chinese.
Wait,
so.
you should do that whole thing where you really make it. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say the opposite. I was going to say, please lean away from the
Sophie's
mic.
like, that's an editing nightmare. Thank you. It's like ASMR. Oh,
that actually was nice. Yeah.
That was good.
Right? Yeah, that's good.
Like it.
Discover the talents within yourself.
Oh.
Wow. That kind of, whoa.
That's like, that fits today.
That totally
Serendipitous.
fits.
Look at that.
Very cool.
Okay. Are you supposed to eat them?
The message?
No.
Was I not supposed to eat that piece of paper?
Well,
No,
if you wanted to mean anything, you have to eat the whole thing, paper and everything.
Oh, really? Is that a thing?
No.
Oh, I didn't know if it was a thing. It
Well-
could be a thing.
Can't hurt though, right?
Right?
I mean, it's just going to come back out.
It's fiber.
Is it though?
Trust me, I'm a dietitian.
All right. You guys want to kick us off?
Oh, now we're kicking us off.
Welcome to Take Life Further at Western, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories, insights, and strategies that empower you to push beyond your limits and live life to the fullest. We're your hosts. I'm Tad Taggart.
And I'm Katie Kane.
And each month we'll be exploring the journeys of incredible individuals who have dared to dream big, overcome obstacles, and achieve extraordinary success.
So get ready to be inspired
Motivated.
and equipped to take life further. Good morning,
Or good noon.
afternoon,
Good-
evening,
Good night.
whatever you want to call it.
We're just happy
Welcome
you're here.
back.
Yeah, welcome back.
We are here today to talk about another dimension of wellness, the intellectual one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Quite.
And Sophie's going to chime in with us today.
Yes, I am.
Be our,
I'm
well,
gonna
she's not really
multitask.
our guest because you're always here with us.
Well, I'm still your guest.
You're our guest today. Be our guest. Be our guest. I don't know the rest of the song.
Yeah, so I'm going to multitask today and keep an eye on levels and take my little notes while I talk to you.
Oh, that's a challenge for intellectual health.
Or is it?
Multitasking,
It
problem
should-
solving.
That is actually
Mm-hmm.
meaning behind it.
So what do we mean by intellectual health?
Well, I think it's different for everybody. Shouldn't it be? I mean, there's the general definition of it,
Which is,
which is, well, I mean, I can read what's on my screen.
yeah, start there. That's a good place to start, right?
Yeah, got to move my mouse. Intellectual wellness is one of the 8 dimensions of wellness that contributes to overall health and wellness. It refers to the ability to use your brain through mental activities to expand your knowledge, skills, and stimulate creativity and curiosity.
So today we're going to use your brain and your mind and your head too. Yeah.
I was excited for this one because I feel like this is not one people think about a lot or give less value to than some of the others. Would you agree? I mean, you're the one you're the expert here, but
You're the dietitian.
I'm just a food guy. I don't even know why I'm here. I think intellectual health gets overlooked because it's usually looked as like boxes to check or stepping stones in life and not something that you continually strive for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the sense that like I have to graduate school to go to college. I have to graduate college to get a job. I might have to get certain certifications to get a certain pay. But like intellectual like health involves lifelong learning, right? I just finished talking to my dietetic intern actually because we did our exit interview today as last day. And I kind of had to like share with him the reality that dawned on me when I became a dietitian, right?
Mhm.
Is you take that exam, and at least when I took it, you knew right away whether you passed or not. Like you knew if you were leaving that building, if you had those letters after your name. And you leave and you go, I made it, right? And then a moment later, it all crashes on you and you're like, oh, wait, now I'm supposed to be the expert? Oh, no. I don't know anything. I don't know what
only
I'm doing.
took the test.
Yeah.
that's the secret, though. Nobody knows anything. It's the people who claim that they know everything and act like they know everything that usually could stand to, be humbled a little bit.
Amen, sister.
100%. 100. And when you talked about the box at the beginning of your little spiel there,
Check the box.
right? I feel like being truly intellectual person is maybe stepping outside of that box.
100%.
Mhm.
Well, and just defining it for yourself. I feel like there's almost like a stigma against being intellectual, whatever that means, like especially over the last, like 10, 20 years, people think of like, like the intellectual elite or whatever, and sort of like have a negative connotation to that, or when you think intellectual, you think of like certain
People.
highfalutin type of, yeah, exactly, which is not at all. Everybody's an intellectual. Like, I really think that everybody is.
And has the potential to be even more if they choose.
Yeah, 100%.
I was listening to a TED Talk on my way back from Appleton this morning, and it was this gentleman, and I should know the name, but I don't. I can look it up and put it in. But he started talking about what intellectual is to him and what he's done in his life. And he's been a basketball player. He was a speed skater, all this stuff, and how he trained for it and what he did. And like 4 minutes into his talk, he said, but I've done all this in Special Olympics. And he goes, what I've found is so many people look at me like I can't be intellectually smart because of that reason. And instead of looking at him as a person and not a man, not an athlete, just as an individual who has seeked out different abilities than what he was just taught. And I was like, wow, that was like intense.
Well, when I was thinking about like what intellectual wellness, I was trying to like sum it up in my mind, like, well, what I say is like the main conceit here. And the I just wrote 2 words, is stay curious. To me, that's the foundation of it. Before I talk more about that, should I tell people who I am, even though they kind of know from listening to past episodes?
We talked about this week in our meeting, and we're like, do we do an introduction? Because I feel like everyone knows her. She's been there.
Yeah.
But then we said, we're like, we should maybe say a little bit more than just Sophie's chimes in and make sure that all this sounds good and puts it all out there for you guys to listen to.
It's a good segue too, because a lot of my intellectual growth and like lifelong learning is because of this place. So I can braid the 2 together.
Do it. Just start weaving. Weave, master.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Sophie Bebo. And I started working at Western in 2010 when I was just like a little baby. I was like 22, I think. I don't even know how old I am anymore. Yeah, I was young. I couldn't drive. Like I was a baby. Just at the front desk. I shouldn't say just, like that's an important job. But I don't even remember the exact series of events that sort of led me to start doing like marketing and stuff like that. But just, there was a need there as we grew. And I'm a creative person, and I think Mary especially saw that in me. And so I just started making like signs and stuff like that for the pro shop, like little things. And then Western kept growing, and Western kept growing, and Western kept growing, and they needed more and more different like marketing and that kind of organization and design. And so Mary just said, yeah, if you want to learn this, like go ahead. And Western paid for me to take a Photoshop class and got the software that we needed to level up my design skills. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos and read a lot of, tutorials and stuff like that, and taught myself graphic design and marketing and all of that kind of stuff. So now it's 2024. I'm still working with you guys on a freelance basis, but I mean, it's been 14 years and I still work pretty closely with everyone here.
You do.
Because like we've said, you can't escape, which is a good thing. No, that sounds very ominous, but
it's like the escape room.
You'll never get away from Western.
Yeah. It's just like, it's a vibe. You can't, I don't want it out of my life. So, and in the last 14 years, I mean, I've become, I do graphic design, I do marketing, I write, I'm a freelance writer primarily. I've started producing this podcast with you guys. So I don't know. I feel like I'm just a good like use case scenario for
100%
what intellectual wellness kind of means on a broader scale than just like Tat said, like you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, like that kind of thing.
And I also feel like also watching you grow through all of that, you've always been curious.
Yeah. And I think that's, partly that's just sort of a natural part of my personality, but I think that exists in everybody. And I think life kind of beats it out of you a little bit. And again, back to you think you have a path and this is the path and like there's an end goal. But being intellectually curious, there isn't really an end goal. And that's the point. And I think especially in today's world, we can just Google anything at like, the touch of a finger, which is great. Like the internet's great. I love that I can like Google like, what.
Sometimes I want to make sure I'm getting the right Google spot
Like,
though,
I
to
could
make
just-
sure it's true.
Well, yeah, I mean, dubious results, especially these days. But there is a tendency, I think, to seek out information just to have information and say, okay, now I know that fact or whatever. And to me, being intellectually curious is a lot more about wanting to explore your world. And that doesn't mean you have to like read like Shakespeare or, like whatever, like different philosopher, whatever people think about when they think about intellectual pursuits. Like it's anything. It's having hobbies. It's watching movies. It's just keeping yourself engaged with the world around you in a way that is engaging to you, that makes you excited. Yeah, I think like so. I guess all that is to say, stay curious is sort of, I think, like my number one thing that I wrote down.
I like that.
I kind of have a couple like notes I'd like to build off that because I couldn't agree more. I think curiosity and humility go hand in hand. And I think you were even touching on that earlier, Sophie, right? Is that the person that's humble is always looking for growth. The person that is proud is usually one that settles, is done learning, right? I mean, I even looked up the definitions of each of the words just because definitions are fun, right?
They are.
It's a good place to start.
It's a good spot to start. And the definition of humility is a modest or low view of one's own importance, contrasted with what you could probably agree is the antithesis of humility, which is pride. And that's a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievements. So if you are humble and you have a lower view of yourself, that means you acknowledge there's room for growth, right? I mean, I think that's at least what I come back to, right? That's where the curiosity comes from, is where can I grow? How can I grow? Versus like pride is, it's like a rear view mirror. It's looking back on all that I've done, right? Pride's like that friend that's always thinking about all they did in like high school, right? It's like the peaked in high school friend. Not to diminish the achievements anybody's ever had, but I just mean, like, are you forward looking or rear view looking, and that humility. Even as you were speaking about being curious about the world rather than just like finding facts, right? I had this profoundly wise professor for philosophy in college. His name was Professor Rondolino. Super cool guy.
He's got a good name.
Right? And he was adamant that he would always do oral final exams. He refused to do a written final exam because he said, especially to like me, somebody that was like a science major, he said, most of our schooling creates students that know things. They know things, but they don't understand. And that was his emphasis. He would always emphasize that I want you to understand even if you don't fully know it. This idea that you can understand the concepts and you're curious and open enough to explore what's being discussed on a philosophical level, rather than being able to regurgitate what Plato or Socrates said verbatim.
Right.
And I just found so much more value out of that.
And I think what people don't understand about that is that there's such great pleasure in understanding something. You know what I mean? Like when you shift your idea of what it is to like learn, you kind of, which is hard. Like it's hard to sort of deprogram from that school mindset. And a lot of people don't like school. I think about, people who say like, I don't like to read, like I hate reading. And a lot of times that's because they were forced to read a book they didn't want to read, like way back in grade school. And that dictated the rest of, their life as a reader.
That's what I was going to say when you talk about, I'm going to go back to the box, right? I like to listen, not necessarily read off of a book. And I think a lot of times, especially growing up in school, we aren't given those options.
No.
Unless you're labeled with something that needs them.
Yeah. Well,
right?
even like there's, gifted and talented classes and stuff like that. And again, like that's great. Like I think there are students who need more challenge and, who excel in different ways. But I, having seen my own kid in school now, I see a lot more effort in terms of just like the pedagogy of teaching, especially young kids, to expand the different ways. They teach, just for example, like I was helping Max, my 10-year-old, with math homework the other day.
Oh.
And his math sheet had, not my forte at all, but I was like, 5th grade, like maybe I can figure this out.
Maybe.
And his math sheet had basically the same problems, but asked them to do it like 3 different ways. And actually demonstrate they understood each of those 3 ways. And he was like, oh, I hate doing it this way. And like, I'd rather do it this way. And I was like, as you get older and start doing more complicated math, like you're going to get to pick the way that you want to do it. But other people want to learn better doing it this way or this way. And I remember clearly 5th grade math, like learning long division and not understanding it. And my teacher just telling me the same way over and over again. Yeah, so I think there's a lot more.
And they can repeat it 8 times.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
Like, I still
it's like the
don't
Charlie
get
Brown, like, womp, 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 womp. Yeah. But that's foundational for a lot of kids. Like, I went through from that moment on in my life, it's identifying myself as someone who is not good at math, which is not productive in any way. Now, am I naturally talented at math? No. I mean, some people just will have that math mind. But when you start off so young telling yourself like, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at learning, I'm not good at reading, that's going to totally stunt whatever intellectual journey that you or potential you might have had later on in life.
Right. But if you're not now as adults, we know we don't excel in one spot, we can either seek out how to do it differently, or we find the people around us that can help enhance that, which I don't think we always got as young kids.
No, certainly not.
And there's still some people that choose not to do that, right? They don't like a team. They like to work by themselves. I'll figure it out for myself, which I do that sometimes. But if we really want to excel our intellectual mind, we need to seek others, seek information.
Well, I remembered what I was going to say about your anecdote. Yep, we got it back. We got it back. About the oral final exam. To me that's so smart, because it's also in the tradition of like philosophy. Like if you go way back to like Greek philosophers, like the Symposium and stuff like that, the way like Plato and Aristotle, and like that's how they learned from each other. They sat down and they had long conversations, and even into history with the salons in like postmodern France, and this is how people have learned for a long time, and we kind of have lost that a little bit, I think, because we live in this society where like everything is instant, and a lot can be learned in conversation. I love reading. I love doing solo stuff. I mean, I'm like in a Wikipedia hole like half the time, but I learned so much in conversation with other people, and that's an intellectual pursuit. Like you might say, oh, I'm not an intellectual person. If you're invested in talking to other people, having dialogue with them, being open to their ideas and learning from them, then you're doing something intellectual right there.
100%. And I also think that sometimes is not better, but rather than just sitting and learning a math problem or sitting in class and just learning science only, like that is just going to open up your horizons so much more if you start listening to what other people can teach you.
Like us, listening to a podcast. You're an intellectual. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, podcast is like one of my big, like I don't have a ton of time to read as much as I would like, especially being in school right now, which maybe we can circle back to also. So podcasts are like everything. There's so many podcasts out there that you can listen to learn the most random stuff. I made a list even of like my favorite like podcasts for people to listen to.
Can you make sure that you tell the producer to put those in the
I'll have her make a note.
Okay, yeah. Pass it on to her, please. Yeah.
Yes. Circle that back around so we don't forget it later. You have a thought. I can see it in your eyes. Nobody else can, but if you knew Tad and you could see his eyes, you would know that he's got a thought right now.
They're usually crossed. That's how you know there's a thought in there. There's something.
That's right.
The gears are turning.
Yeah, there's something brewing. As we're talking about thinking outside the box, and like Sophie, you're talking about people who maybe dismiss themselves, right? Going through our standard education system or feeling that they maybe fail in a certain arena. I think we find a lot of people who come out of that feeling they're not intellectuals or even averse to intellectual pursuits, right? Because I think we have this idea of what it looks like, right? That it looks like reading how-to books, blank, blank for dummies or whatever, right? And so as I'm pondering this, I would love to discuss with you two, this might sound like a silly question, but like frankly,
no silly questions.
why does intellectual health matter? Like, you think of anybody that may have this aversion to learning, which it sounds silly, but it's pretty easy to fall into that, And if we have any listeners that are there where they're like, I'm good, don't push another book at me, don't push another podcast, just leave me alone. Like, why does learning matter? Why does intellectual health matter?
I have a lot of opinions
I
about
do.
this. You can go
But,
first.
okay, so again, I was listening to some things while I was driving down to Appleton today, and one of them was talking about how you have this like space in your gut or inside where you're like, I just need something more. Like this feels stagnant, or this feels stuck, or like something just like is driving you, but you don't really know what it is. If you don't listen to that and learn more, you're just going to stay. And if we can't move forward, you might as well just go back to high school and talk about those moments instead of moving forward. And I think that's why it's important. If you don't want to does anyone just stay? Like, you don't stay at home. Well, I guess some people do, but stay at home all day or never leave. You got to move forward.
Right.
Well,
you don't want to stay stagnant.
Well, most people don't, but some people do.
Yeah.
And that's really why I'm asking this, is like, I have met people who are authentically, and I've even gone through seasons of my life where like, I am good. Like, I do not want to, like, it's not that it's a perspective of like the rest of my life, I know everything I ever need to know, but it's really like, it's easy to get into a season of life where you are like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to learn. I'm fine coasting.
But that's all part of it, honestly. I mean, you don't want to go. Learning isn't about, like we said, the end goal. Learning isn't about pressuring yourself to like, I have to know all this stuff. I would challenge anyone to say like, why? Why do you need to know all this stuff? A lot of times people want to know stuff because they want to feel like they're smart, or they want other people to think they're smart. And to me, the smartest people I know, they don't need people to think they're smart. They're fine if they actually might seem stupid. You know what I mean? Like, when I have an opportunity, when I'm talking with someone and they say something I don't understand, I'm just going to say like, I have no idea what that is. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's how you learn stuff. It's antithetical to learning anything when you have this pride or have this, idea of like, I'm a smart person. So I think that's a big barrier. I think it's important because you have to know things to do things in this world. You have to know things to grow as a person, like you were saying, Katie. You don't know what you don't know. And this sounds so stupid, like, but when you do know, you know.
Just so you know that last like 30-second audio bit was actually like profound. Okay. So like
it was. Drop the mic.
But you can learn. There's so much more that you can know and understand than you even realize. And the more you start, it's sort of like you gain momentum in that, and you start learning, and you want to learn more, and you want to learn more. And again, that doesn't mean you're gobbling up books, or you're, that's one person's style. That's maybe how I like to operate, but it could just be a hobby. It could be learning. It could be learning pottery. It can be taking a painting class. It could literally anything that's sort of engaging and stimulating your mind to keep you from being stagnant. But to your point, Tad, being stagnant sometimes, rest is part of learning too. Letting your brain, I think about
process.
This when in my writing. I think the most important part of writing, especially poetry, is the thinking before you start writing. If you don't give yourself time to sort of just rest and like take in your world, you're not going to be able to make any intellectual progress or, progress on creative projects or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with, I went years without writing poetry. I mean, and that's like my passion, but you can't force it, And of course, I think you get to a place where you want to say like, I feel like you said, there's something missing. Like I feel stagnant.
Yep.
What is that in my life? And then, you have to assess what that is. But learning is, the more educated everyone is, the better we can all do for each other and for ourselves. And that doesn't take just one form. It takes a million different forms. And that's the beauty of it, because everybody's going to have different talents and different interests and be able to contribute in that way.
100%. And when you talk about the ones that that just they're okay with just being there, you can be okay with just being there doesn't mean you're going to stay there.
Mhm.
Or do they stay there?
I don't know, and I think there's an awareness to that. But, to like piggyback off of kind of what Sophie's saying is I got an image of rock climbing.
Sure. Yeah.
I got an image of rock climbing because you talked about basically the ebb and flow. And in my mind, I see the ebb and flow of thought and then action, right?
Mm-hmm.
Activity and rest. We do that a lot in the fitness world, right?
Mhm.
The focus on the workout and the recovery. And I think about rock climbing, and watching somebody rock climb for the first time is always so entertaining because they approach the wall and they just go, right? And then they get about halfway up the wall and they're like scrambling to find the next handhold or foothold.
Shit.
Yep.
I've been there.
Right?
I got to go back down.
Oh, right. And then they're shaking and then they slip and then hopefully they're harnessed, right? But, as you watch the more experienced climbers, what do? They walk up to the wall, whether it's bouldering or climbing, and they look up and they're analyzing, and they actually visualize like, okay, handhold, foothold. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then they go. And so it's almost like a word of warning, I guess, is if you're in that season of resting,
Mm-hmm.
using it to think, even if it's not action.
Yeah,
To, like,
and that's
plan.
enough.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the reason I especially bring this up is I bring up like, why is intellectual health even important is being somebody that's both a healthcare pro and a fitness pro. When you're in like kind of the sciences field, you do approach education as the checking the boxes, right? You look at the next certification to get the degree to get the exam to pass. And I'm even guilty of myself of getting to a certain point where you feel on top of your game, which is a good spot to be, but a dangerous spot to be, because I was the most ineffectual professional in the seasons that I felt on top of my game. It's not that I wasn't giving sound advice or making good programming for my clients, but that's when I'm not open to learn. Right. And I think there's things that I miss in those seasons. So it's a dangerous game to play. It's a balance, because the healthcare field, I think, is rife with, frankly, other professionals like me who get into a season of feeling like you're on top of your game, and then you shut off the ability to learn anything new.
Well, and it doesn't help, too, that we live in a world that's constantly bombarding us with information, which I think is also a barrier to people feeling intellectually well, because our brains we're not built to, we still have caveman brains, we're not built to be just have this barrage of information coming at us all the time, in every aspect of our lives. Anytime you open your phone, advertisements, and, our brain is constantly just cycling through all of these things, and it's mentally exhausting. And so part of the challenge of sort of like contemporary life is being able to tune a lot of that out. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware of your world. I think it's important as like a citizen of the world to be aware of what's happening in the world. But you also have to take care of your own intellectual health, I guess. And part of that is not succumbing, I guess, to just the constant attack of information on your brain all the time.
It's so different than I can do this because I'm older. It's so different than it used to be.
Even in me and Tad's lifetime, we're millennials, but we grew up in a completely pre-internet era. We were the test case for the internet,
the
Tad
guinea
and
pigs of dial-up.
And it was
I lived off of dial-up and the phones that you could go
and AOL.
Yes.
But what was great about that is I remember this, and of course, nostalgia is there has its own problems that come with it. But, I remember a time, and you probably remember a time, Tad, where the computer was like a place that you went.
Yeah,
the internet. The internet was a place that you went, and then you could leave it.
Yeah.
You had to go to the library sometimes to see it.
Exactly.
To get one.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot. This is probably just a whole other tangent about the internet, but it's a amazing thing for our society, and it's also an absolutely horrible thing that's happened to our society. It's both of those things contained.
It is. But I think learning how to shut one off so the other can kick in. That's finding the balance.
Well, right, we think that let's say in the case of intellectual health, right? The idea of having information is good.
Mhm.
And so if having information is good, then having more information is better. And that's something I run into in nutrition all the time, right? You can apply this to any dimension of health as well.
Mhm.
If magnesium is good, right? If having 100 milligrams of magnesium is good, then having 1,000 milligrams of magnesium is better, right? Until you run into the bathroom every 5 minutes, right? So
And then I should bathe in it. I should
bathe
rub
in it. Yeah.
lotion on me that's got magnesium.
Oh, the
No.
magnesium, right? But that's anything, right? That's anything in life, is that ebb and flow, the balance of too much of a good thing is always a bad thing, right?
Mhm. Too much sun can burn your skin.
Right? Not enough sun, you're missing vitamin D. And that information overload that we get with having, like you said, the internet is not a place you go to. It is what we live in now.
Mhm.
Like,
And that's just bad for us. I mean, straight up. I mean, that's backed up by, plenty of scientific
Yeah.
studies and stuff like
nobody's
that.
going to argue
It's
on that. Don't
bad
worry.
for our brain.
Nope, I'm not going to argue on that at all.
And that's, I think that only validates more and more of the pushes in the physical health realm, and I guess the mental health realm, of disconnecting from social media, or even from technology as a whole. All the benefits of nature bathing, right? This idea that you can exist without being bombarded by information.
Well, even just like, I feel like it's such common practice now, and I'm guilty of it. Like something as simple as watching a movie. Like you pull out your phone, I'll play a game. You get a notification, your attention is constantly being split between things. And so even just something as simple as when you watch something, watch it. Actually pay attention to the things that you're doing, and you'll get so much more out of life, out of the world, if you make a conscious decision to pay attention to whatever you are doing, like fully.
When you say that, I think of, like, if you want an example, right? You're watching a movie and you can watch it like 8 times now,
Mhm.
and you still are like, oh, totally missed that. Oh, didn't
Yeah.
see that in the first 7 times I watched it, because we don't pay attention.
But even that, see, I love that though. Like I have the worst memory, which means that when I read a book, I get to read it again for the first time in, 5 years or whatever. Like I don't
See, we can find positives and negatives.
Well, and I used to
everything.
really beat myself up over that, because I so easily forget things, and I used to feel stupid. Like, okay, I can't remember all this stuff. Like I have to look up the same word over and over and over again, But now it's just that's how my brain works, and it doesn't say anything about me or how smart I am or what, it doesn't matter.
You don't have to say sorry for it anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I wish that for more people. I wish that more people saw themselves as intellectual, creative people. And I think creativity goes hand in hand with intellect. I think the two are inextricably entwined. And I've met so many people who are like, oh, I'm just not a creative person. I couldn't write poems. I couldn't draw. I couldn't. And I was like, but you actually can. Again, it circles back to what you were saying, Tad, is that it's these milestones people have been sort of programmed to believe. If they're going to do something, they have to be really good at it, and they have to do it for a reason. You don't have to do it for a reason. You can just learn something because you want to learn it, and that's good for you. And I would caution people too, especially now in our society, there's this pressure to monetize your hobbies. Don't do that to yourself.
No.
Or when that stresses me out, the hobbies word, for some reason, because I think
Why?
people will go, what are your hobbies? And I'm going, oh, shoot. I like to watch movies on Netflix, right? There's also,
That's a hobby.
yes, but I'm saying in the realm of what hobbies are, it would be from an older generation, like knitting or doing something that isn't sitting you in front of a TV.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it shouldn't be your only hobby, not to call you out, but maybe it's time, maybe this is the impetus for you to start a new hobby.
Nope, it's not my only hobby. But for years, I was always like, oh, I hate that question. I don't know what I don't know. I just do whatever.
Well, and that's because you're
out.
expecting whoever's asking you that question to judge you for whatever those hobbies are.
A box.
And I think there's this expectation that you have to be good at something if you're doing it. You don't have to be good at it. There's a pleasure in just creating things or learning things. I can't tell you the amount of times I've read essays or books and I've gotten to the end or just quit in the middle of them and just like, well, I don't understand any of that, but oh well, maybe I'll have a thought later about it or whatever. Or, I do so much writing or making art or whatever, and it sucks. You have to suck at you have to suck real bad at stuff.
My hobby's really good at
that
being bad at some things.
Well, that. There's a show called Adventure Time.
Oh, I love
Ooh.
Adventure Time.
And one of the best quotes, I think, from any cartoon ever is from Adventure Time, which is the first step to getting good at something is kind of sucking at it.
It completely true.
So
right?
true.
I mean, right? Like, in fact, like, that's the only way to get good at something is to kind of suck at it. Because if you're just amazing at something from out of the gate, then, like, how are you going to get better? Right?
I
And
like that.
if you don't get better, like, that's fine too.
Yeah,
Just do it for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, try
for
stuff.
sure.
You know, like I got this, like, you know, again, it's the ADHD. So I have 4,000 different hobbies that I'll try and I'll, you know, I seriously, you guys, like, I have like a whittling kit at home, resin jewelry making, a ukulele, like just dozens.
At least you tried.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's another thing. Like, I used to really beat myself up about, like, oh, all these abandoned hobbies. Like, oh, I'm not smart. Like, what's wrong with me? I can't follow through with these things. But, like, not everything's gonna stick.
Mm-mm.
Like, I bought this big, like, you know, those little, like, seed beads that you can make bracelets with.
Yes.
I don't know why. I was just like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Like, that sounds fun. I'm gonna make bracelets. You guys, I tried to make these bracelets for like a couple of hours, and every time I would get to the end, my like stupid like fat fingers could not like tie it off, and several times they like busted apart, and all the work that I had done. But like, it's fine. Like, I enjoyed myself while I was doing it.
Sure.
And
I always go, that teaches us patience.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the biggest barriers for people is that they A, think that they can't,
Mm-hmm.
and B, are worried that they need to be good at something. And like, you really just don't. If you want to learn something that feels like so outside of your wheelhouse, like, just do it. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. Take the class, read the book, and then if it turns out you hate it, like, okay, so what? You didn't lose anything.
Mm-hmm. We're doing it right now with the podcast.
Yeah, you guys just dove into this. Like,
We literally just dove into it.
yeah.
Yeah. And first step, we kind of sucked at it, but we're getting a little bit better every day.
Every day.
I mean, I guess it depends on what the reviews say, but
Yeah,
we
whatever.
think we're good at it, and that's all that matters.
It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
And even if we're not good, we're having a good time.
Oh, before when you were talking, I also think like we don't use our imaginations as much as we used to.
Oh,
and
yes.
there was this movie I watched this year called It.
The
So
clown
it's about
movie?
it's about the imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If?
It is the
If.
Is it It or If?
It.
Imaginary
Wait,
friends.
Nope, it's If.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
If.
like Stephen King's like.
Yeah, I'm like, hold up.
Okay,
Wait,
well, that's
they
a very
can't be both.
imaginative
It
movie too.
and If are wildly different
Yeah.
movies.
Do not take your kids to see it.
Do not go to It expecting If.
Example of I'm okay with failing. If.
Fantastic movie, by the way.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It is
I
so
still haven't
amazing.
seen it, and you guys have told me about it before. I really like. I want to sit down and watch it with.
And I
Max.
think back and I go, oh my God, how many imaginary friends have been abandoned or just sitting out there waiting for us to like think about them again?
Mhm.
Got to go back to being kids.
Well,
replay it.
imagination is such an important part of
Mhm.
intellect too, because especially in our contemporary world where there's this sort of like hegemony of thought, even in like pop culture and stuff that you see, everything's kind of the same, which isn't, there's a lot of creative people out there.
Mhm.
There's a lot of, but like, how many Marvel movies are there? You know, which is fine. Marvel's fun.
Yeah, hey, don't knock Marvel.
No, I'm not at all.
What are you saying about Marvel, Sophie?
But like, there's this sort of like coalescing of culture and not a lot of room for imagination.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of get the imagination beat out of us, especially again because modern life also requires us to make money and go to work and all of those things.
That can't have the other, right?
And I find now, especially when the world is so fraught, you know, in so many different, you know, social and political and cultural ways, imagination is more important than ever because when I talk to people, you know, sort of everybody has their own ideas about how they want to, how they picture a perfect world or how they think the world should work. But oftentimes it's within a framework of the society we already live in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if everyone felt more free to sort of imagine, you know, if you can imagine something radically different than what exists right now, like it could exist. And so many people are resistant to that, you know, we could never do that. The world could never be like that.
Mm-hmm.
But part of intellectual curiosity is being open to to whatever you can imagine. And that sounds very like la la la, like you can do anything
Does
you want.
not.
But like imagination to me is so important to any kind of personal evolution and societal evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, 100%. I mean, imagination goes hand in hand with the growth of intellect, and like you said, like invention. I mean, even in like, again, I always have the shade of perspective from especially the health sciences world, but somebody had to imagine that you could do robot-assisted surgeries before you could do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you had to imagine that this specific medication or drug could do what it could do. Like you're not just, I mean, sometimes people stumble across things on accident, but a lot of times they don't. And it has to be imagined before you get there, right? And so that's why, I think we dismiss things that pursue the imagination as an intellectual pursuit, right? This idea that, well, if I'm not reading nonfiction, if I'm not reading a self-help book, right, then I'm not growing, I'm not learning.
Yeah, read what you want to read. Like don't
Still learn from it.
Yeah. Read romance novels, read graphic novels, read all these, which I think are all literature. But, a lot of times people, when we were kids, like comic books and stuff were seen as like lesser, like, oh, you can't read graphic novels and stuff. That's not as good as reading something else. But like, read what you want to read.
Those turned into Marvel movies.
I'm not shitting on Marvel. I promise. No, don't.
No.
Nobody send me any hate mail.
No,
Marvel's coming at us now. I can already feel Disney knocking down the door.
It started somewhere.
Yeah.
So that thought of writing it on paper turned into the imagination of it being on a big screen.
And often imagination has to be accompanied by intellectual pursuits. If you think about even some of your favorite sci-fis, like that has to have some sort of rooted truth, right?
It starts with a curiosity.
Right. It starts with a curiosity. And there's so many authors that even when they're writing a fictional story have to investigate, what is this career like? What is this, how does this thing work? And that starts with curiosity and then leads to an intellectual growth.
Man, what was it like before we had the internet when they'd have to go out and find it? That's the difference now. We don't actually have to go out and find it.
You had to go to the library.
Well, you kind of do. I mean,
well, you do,
just
but
sifting through the internet now is like a journey.
But I'm saying, like, you had to get in a car.
Yeah.
You probably had to go, like, find it somewhere.
Or you had to walk uphill both ways.
Both ways, in the snow.
In the snow.
But if you think about it, that's what people have been doing for centuries.
I know.
Like, think of, like, the Library of Alexandria and stuff like that. I mean, like, I think it's a human imperative to collect information, to collect knowledge, because human brains, we always want to understand more. And it's, I think deep down we all know, not to get like philosophical, but like we know the pursuit is sort of futile. Like we can't ever really understand anything about our world. It's not possible.
No.
But we continue to try. And I think that's something that's built into being a human being, which is why intellectual wellness is such an important part of the dimensions of wellness. You know what I mean? Like it's part of everybody, whether or not you believe it is. And to be, a healthy, fully actualized person, you want to feed that part.
I always love when we're talking about these dimensions of wellness, and I start like, I'm continually reminded of the intersections of the different dimensions. Whenever I pull out a dimensions of wellness wheel with a client, there's inevitably a groan, right? Not that again. But like, there's so much wisdom in it, right? Because like, even if we want to trace across the wheel a couple times and we start in maybe what we could consider like the spiritual domain, right, of wellness, regardless of, your spiritual pursuits or beliefs, like almost every sort of spiritual grounding and belief that people hold is rooted in some form of humility, right? And curiosity, because that's part of spiritual growth, right? And that's usually wherever you gain your spiritual knowledge from, there's that imperative of humility and curiosity, right? And openness. And that's what leads you to intellectual. And as we're talking about growing as a person, and we're talking about history, like especially how history used to be passed down through oral traditions, right? And that's where the social comes in, right? Which we're losing because you can just get all the information on your phone. But right, so you see this intersection of each of these dimensions dependent on one of another, which is why you can't ignore.
Right. You don't want to overlook intellectual.
Can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just kind of hijacking the episode then. But
well, it's your show.
I mean,
it's my show.
we're used to it. It's
you just
okay.
just ask Mary. She said it's my podcast, I guess. But so then I think now's a good chance that could we share some ways that each of us like to try to maintain our intellectual health and through different pursuits.
Oh, man.
This would maybe a good time for me to dive into like college stuff because it's important to me, I think, to talk about too, because I think I have a very non-traditional path that I wish more people realized is like fine and common and not something to be ashamed of. So, I mean, for me, a big part of my current intellectual wellness is being in school. And, I'm 36 years old, so I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree. I have no degrees. And so I'm like in class with all these like 20-year-olds and it's fantastic. I love it. It's amazing, and once you get over that hump of sort of feeling like I should have done this better. I should have graduated when I was 22, like 4 years at college or whatever. It's so freeing. And so, it's like everybody takes a different path. I finished high school and I've always loved school, which goes to show you like that doesn't mean you're going to be good at it, like in certain contexts. So, I went to UW Milwaukee when I graduated high school. I dropped out in 2009. And then I enrolled in MATC down in Milwaukee to pursue a certificate in health unit coordination. Dropped out. Then I went to Lakeshore Technical College in Sheboygan to pursue a degree in court reporting. Dropped out. Shocking, I know. I even enrolled at UW Green Bay another time after I moved up here in 2010 and didn't end up like signing up for any classes. So it took me a long time to actually get to the point where like I was actually ready to do it for myself. And it wasn't just like a box I wanted to check. It wasn't just something I felt like. And along the way, too, what I really realized about myself was that it doesn't matter. There's a lot of really stupid people who have college degrees, guys.
Amen to that, sister.
It's not, it used to be this like mark of like, this is a certain milestone you achieve. That means like you're a smart person. That could not be further from the truth. And now that I'm working on this degree at UW Green Bay again, it's a writing and applied arts program. Shout out. It's a really good program if anybody wants to go back to school. It's like the best part of my life right now, besides my family, obviously. But yeah, and it makes me, I feel like if there's a chance that anybody here is listening that like dropped out of college or has always wanted to go to college and didn't think it was for them, if it's something you've thought about, try it. It's for everybody. Like it's not, there's no shame in it. It's honestly, it's better when you're older because you actually don't really care about like any of the other stuff you care about when you're in your 20s.
Going to parties.
And like, you can just like, it sounds so nerdy, but like, I feel like, like now I actually care. Like I want to, I'm there to learn. And I'm like that annoying, like adult student in class who's like, one more question. Like,
Teacher, you forgot about the homework.
Can she leave?
But it's, for me, like, that's the biggest thing in my life right now. I mean, and I do so much other stuff. I'm a poet. I write poetry regularly. I started publishing the past year. And I started making zines.
What's a zine?
Oh, a zine is, gosh, it's hard to nail down a single definition. A zine is like a little booklet. I should have brought some.
You should have.
A little booklet, self-published, all kind of DIY. People do it all different ways. Its history is sort of in the, if you go way back, it starts in like science fiction fanzines, like from like the 30s and stuff like that. Really as a way to connect with community because there's all these like science fiction fans who, wanted to connect with each other and like, write fan fiction before that was even like a concept. And then it really took off in sort of like the punk scene of like the 70s and 80s. Like there was sort of that like DIY, like fuck the man ethos. Maybe I have to bleep myself. But so there are these little traditionally like little booklets that you make about whatever you want. And the whole conceit is that it's DIY. It's not going to make you money. It's not going to be published anywhere. It is for you and whatever community you want to engage with. I mean, so there's zines, it's like there's a lot of political zines, but there's also a lot of like pop culture zines, cooking zines, literally whatever you are interested in. Like I made a zine, they do, another plug, they do a zine like convention every year at the library in summertime, July. So look out for that. And I did it this year. And I did zines. I have one zine that I've been working on called Open Tabs. And it's literally just a collection. I started it because I realized one day that I never close any of the tabs on my phone. Yeah. I feel like you're either like, yeah, like I feel like you're either one or the other. My husband was like, that's like how, like that makes me, that sends me into like a cold sweat just thinking about it. But I was like, so I had like 400 tabs up or whatever. And so I was like, you know what? This is like a really interesting sort of look into whatever the things I've been concerned with, like for the last 3 months, like the things I'm looking up, the Wikipedia pages I've brought up, any of that stuff. So I made a zine where I took screenshots of everything and sort of organized it. And it's literally just like, here's all the stuff that I've been looking at. Maybe you'll find something that you want to look up. And then the end is basically asking people to like, send me what you've been looking at. And we can make a zine together or whatever. I've been wanting to make one about, sorry, now you got me on this like topic that I'm like having a lot of fun with.
We just learned something new.
We learned about zines. By the way, is it short for like magazine? Is in like it's supposed to be
short for fanzine.
Fanzine.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I just thought like
that's how it started. Yeah, it's like a science fiction fanzines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been wanting to do this one, and I need to like. I'm so bad at I can't do all the projects that I want to do all the time. So I'm like, I just wait till summer. But I want to do a zine for my neighborhood that's like all the neighborhood dogs and like features like different dogs throughout because like there's so many. So I mean, the zine can be literally anything.
Love that.
It could be anything. There's actually
but it's all like written, not like videos
or typed. No, it's like a print medium, but it could be anything. It could be art. It could be whatever. I'll bring some next time so I can show you guys. If you guys are, if there's people listening who are into that, because I think zines are a fantastic way for people to sort of like re-stimulate their intellectual part of them if they felt like, oh, I'm not creative or I don't know what to do. There is a new place open on University called Zine Bay Comics that specializes in zines. And they do a weekly art club night, 7 p.m. on Sundays. You literally just come and make whatever you want. Sit and talk with people, make art, don't make art, write, like whatever. And
I love it.
Yeah, and I really like that those spaces are coming back because to me it's like it's like evokes like Plato's Symposium, like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people collecting themselves and just being in spaces together that aren't digital spaces, which I think is needed. So, anyways, that's the stuff I'm doing. Oh, and I also have a book club, which I'm going to plug because if people can join my book club. It's a poetry book club every third Sunday of the month at Lion's Mouth. So if you like poetry, look it up on the Lion's Mouth website and join us.
Oh.
Okay, so
I just learned so much new.
I know.
I could probably say like 10 more things that I'm like doing at any given time, but I want to hear what you guys are doing to like support your intellectual wellness. Yeah, it's all the tabs.
It's all the tabs.
It's the tabs and the ADHD.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
Big time. I have a lot of computer tabs open all the time.
Same. Yeah. It freaks my wife out too. When
we should do a zine. We should just do a zine about the things that go through the brain.
There's not enough zines.
Maybe we can do a podcast zine. Start from
a Take Life Further podcast zine.
Sure.
No.
She doesn't seem sold on it.
I mean, I like the idea. Sophie. Let me know how we merge the two mediums.
Okay, we'll try. You never know. It'll happen.
It's an audio zine.
That could be a thing.
Like you, because you said it's a print medium?
Yeah.
So it's like a card when you open it.
But I shouldn't even say that. It's a digital medium, too. There's tons of digital zines.
Because I was going to say, could you take all the animals and then give them voices and then have them talking to people so they can make...
Absolutely.
That would be funny.
Can we be the animals?
No.
Can we be the animals?
No, I'm talking about the animals in our neighborhood.
The dogs.
The dogs.
I want an animal-based Take Life Further zine.
Do it. Make it.
Okay, so I'll go.
Yes, please.
Let's see. I'm very unconventional. I tried going back to school. I went to TC originally for early childhood education.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't last very long. I decided if I stayed there, I probably would never have kids. So,
well, good. That's so you learned something about yourself.
You learned.
So from there, I started working. And then as my kids were getting older, I was like, oh, I really want to go back to school because I felt like if I didn't, I wouldn't ever be looked as somebody who was intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really hard to do with 3 small children, a full-time job.
Yeah.
And a life. So, tried, failed. It's okay. But now I really do, I research things, so I research people. Like I've learned from a lot of like Brene Brown, who is amazing to listen to, podcasts, books, people that
I've noticed that about you. You have a lot of pulls from like people's lives. Like you seem interested in the different ways people have lived.
Also because I like really always understanding where somebody's coming from. So not assuming where they're coming from, but really listening and understanding and having empathy towards it.
Which is like foundational for learning anything.
So I've just always, since then, have done that. And that's always been like my thing here, is to help people try to become what they want to be. Or maybe who I see they could be, and maybe they're not sure of it yet.
You're good at clocking people's potential.
Yeah. But just really honing in on those skills that I see that we don't always see in ourselves and going, let's go. So I've thought about going back to school, and I'm like, would I be doing it for me or would I be doing it for somebody else? Because I really enjoy taking small education. Like I like listening to videos. I like researching things. I've come in contact with so many people throughout the U.S. that I've learned different things from. And I feel like that's been what's brought my confidence in going, I don't need to go to school to know that I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And that took me, and you could really be a testament when I say I lost my voice for a while and now it's back.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I am who I am. You're just going to either like it or not. And well, let's move on from there.
Well, and you did it your own way too. You know, like you didn't have to go, you didn't have to go to school to do that. You know, and you don't have to prove to anyone you're smart.
Not at all. Because I am. I am smart.
All right, Tad, you're up.
Tad.
And I know you're a big reader, so.
I mean, I'm a big reader when I have time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love to read. I mean, I guess my educational route was non-traditional as well. Sitting here today holding 2 bachelor's degrees, which can confuse some people, but you know, it's a whole thing. So we could go down the story, but I don't think we'll take the time today to discuss my educational route because it takes a little bit more of a deeper dive than that. It was kind of this interesting, during that path was an interesting shift because I knew I wanted to be a dietitian, and I have a profound both passion and interest and respect. I mean, even a respect for nutrition and, you know, the power that it has, and wanting to be a dietitian and being able to actually effectually give people advice and recommendations. You do have to check the boxes to a degree, right? You have to have that license and those letters after your name to be not only taken serious, but to actually legally provide certain recommendations. So it was this odd balance of doing what I had to do, but also getting to learn what I wanted to learn, right? That's even kind of what it's like for me now, is when, you know, I consider, like, with my intellectual pursuits, if it's nutrition, it's my passion, but it's also my career and my responsibility. So with my reading, I like to alternate between something that's like career related and then something that's more just a passing interest, right? And I usually go something that's really grounded in science, right? I try to read some like research backed, whatever it might be, to help grow my profession, and then like 180 to the most like non-realistic fantasy or sci-fi book I can read, right? So I can get that balance of like that imagination and curiosity, but then also, you know, learning the things that I both want to, but also need to. I also love podcasts, and I don't really care if they're factual or not, because, and that's actually what inspired me for this, this podcast, is just listening to conversations. You can learn so much, you know?
Well, let's be clear. We should care if what we're listening to is factual.
Well, yes.
Because there's a lot of people out there who will claim things are factual that are not
That's
factual.
fair. I shouldn't say factual, but like more formal. Let's use the word formal.
Like traditionally educational.
Traditionally educational rather than conversational, right? Yes, we want, if we're going to apply something and we're going to believe it, we should know whether it's factual or not. But, you know, even the conversations. And I think one of the greatest ways that I learn on a day-to-day is actually from my clients, which is awesome, that I get to work on a day-to-day and meet with people on the fitness floor or in my office for nutrition. And yeah, they're there to learn from me, but I learned so much from them. I've learned so much about different career fields and different little pockets of the world that I would never have known anything about if I never met them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because you have an open and curious mind too, you know?
People are interesting.
There's a lot of people who don't listen, you know,
Sure.
who they're not interested. But because you're interested in learning things, you learn things from every part of your life.
Sure. I think it's more so I'm interested in people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like I like learning about things, but I like learning about people more because
Yeah.
people are infinitely fascinating.
They are
Right?
so fascinating.
I know. Yeah.
Right? And so then-
I'm with you.
Yeah. And it's a
Yeah.
byproduct. You just learn about other parts of the world, which is so cool.
Can I touch on one more thing before we
You
end?
go, girl.
Please go.
Just because I
You're
think
the one
it's-
who's got to edit this.
Yeah,
true.
it's
I know.
all
Like,
you, man.
I
You
knew,
can say as much as you want.
I knew this was going to be a long one because I'm such a I'm a yapper. Once you get me going on
I
stuff,
love
I care
Whatever.
about. But I think I wrote it down because I think it's important to touch on with this is mentorship. I think that part of intellectual wellness is passing that on to other people. And I say that because I have like a wonderful mentor that I met through school, and it just knowing him and working with him has helped me grow intellectually like tenfold. And so I think that's a really important part of the journey. Like once you get to a place, and I'm not saying everybody has to be a mentor, but if you think you might want to, and if you think you'd be good at it, if you like people, if you're passionate about what you do, if you get to a place that you feel, you know, like you're really secure in your knowledge and confident in your expertise, mentor someone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really important part of that intellectual piece.
It is.
There's a give and take with mentorship because the mentor learns from the mentee too.
Yeah, exactly.
As I said, I just finished having a dietetic intern and I learned from every single one.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. And maybe that goes back to our ebb and flow talk, right? Either you look for a mentor because it's your season to grow, or you step into mentorship and you be the mentor because you're in that season of just being okay with where you're at.
Okay.
All right. Should we wrap it up before
we
I
wrap
have
it?
to edit for like 4 hours
Yes.
of podcast?
Okay.
It's only 3.5. Okay, the totally awesome book of useless information, even though it's not really useless. It's pretty great.
I've enjoyed all of the info from this book so far.
Top notch. What do you got for us today, Katie?
All right. It takes an average of 48 to 100 tries to solve a Rubik's Cube puzzle.
Ooh,
Unless you're me.
that's
In
so on
which case-
topic.
If done, I know, isn't that weird?
Yeah, that's true.
If done perfectly, any Rubik's Cube combination can be solved in 17 turns.
Have you seen those like Rubik's Cube competitions?
Yes.
People
Yes.
do where that's just like the timer goes off and they're just like,
You know, it's
done.
on a pivot.
It's
I watched
amazing.
a video on it one day.
It's what?
It's on a pivot. So it's like you have to pivot and it like, it's, yeah.
Yeah,
watch it.
there's a strategy
Yeah,
to
there's
it.
like
Mhm.
you look at it, you take a second to look at it, you see how it's, and then it's like they just know the moves. Like, okay, I'll do 3 times
Mhm.
this way, 3 times, and then done.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
It is so cool. And the fact that if somebody could do that in 17,
it's crazy.
no way.
Growing up, I had a buddy. One of my best friends, his name's Justin Ballard. Hopefully this reaches him at some point. But he totally went down the rabbit hole of learning to solve the Rubik's Cube and then continued to learn how to solve like, not just like a 3x3, but like the bigger ones.
Bigger and
like,
bigger.
Yes, like the 5x5, like crazy. And it always blew my mind. He could close his eyes, like he would cover it,
No.
or he'd have a blindfold, and he would just point to a square and he'd ask, "What color is this?" And then you'd tell him and he'd go, "Okay, hold on. Click, click, click," without looking. Click, click, click,
No
click. And then
way.
he'd stop and he'd point again. He'd go, "What color is this?" And you'd say, click, click, click. And then like, it took him like 5 minutes.
That's a beautiful mind.
It was, he's a cool dude. Talk about curious.
Yeah, people are so interesting.
know.
Everybody is interesting. Every
Awesome.
single person, honestly.
It's just,
So cool.
people are amazing. If you're listening, you're amazing.
You're all
You're
amazing.
just awesome. And just go out and learn something. Go learn something today.
Be great.
Be great. You know what?
Or don't.
Or don't.
Or don't. If you want to be, hey, if you want to just sit at home today, go do it.
Ebb and flow. Just be you. Either way.
Find the balance.
Either way, you're
Just
just
give
taking
yourself
life
some
further.
time to think.
Just
I like it.
We're giving a lot of advice.
a lot of advice.
I know. All right.
You better learn something at this point
We'll be back.
after these commercial messages.
Do-do-do-do-do. Yeah. No. All right. Good night. Good
Da-da-da-da-da.
afternoon. Bye. See ya. Bye. Out. We're out.
Bitty,
Bye.
bitty, bitty, bitty. That's all, folks.